ago? Is it just me, or has it been eerily quiet when it comes to realignment? There was the CU Board of Regents meeting a few weeks ago and the Colorado president comments, but other than that, has it just been quiet? So Kyle Visser, welcome, Kyle, to the chat room. I don't know, I could have missed something, but I haven't seen you on here often, but he was replying. He goes, the meetings have already taken place laying out the options. As soon as the final deal is presented, there will be a Zoom meeting. The emergency public meeting is there for a vote. Yes, a vote called for transparency if schools are switching. No meetings if they are staying put. He's talking about conferences. The Pac-12 also talking about the schools themselves. Kyle, if no meeting is on the docket, they may call a special meeting. Emergency was probably a poor choice when Colorado used that a little bit earlier. When schools in the past changed conferences, most of a public meeting was for transparency only. But the decision had already been made, just like the school board meetings in high school. So there you go with that. As far as the Big 12's having their meetings, this is their normal meetings. This is one that's been on the calendar forever. There has been a couple of reports, Jason Scheer, Brian Etheridge with us, that Colorado could be in Dallas on May the 6th following this week. That's out there. That's been reported. So who knows what that might mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the chatter's continued, but certainly up front, I mean, the Pac-12 had their whole PR rebound, about a month ago now at this point, where they came out swinging, acting like, oh, really, we're going to start talking now. And started promising the TV deal was going to be here soon. And again, when was that? Like a month ago. So maybe that's, here in the next few weeks or something that finally gets done. But here we are, the start of another week, and no word on that. And really, until there's word on that, again, that's the thing. Like that's the thing more than anything else is, no school in the Pac-12 is going to do anything until they know what that TV deal is. It's really just that simple. Beyond that, it's anybody's guess at this point. I know now, like, suddenly there's become a lot of chatter about the ACC. That's like the new thing now, because I feel like this story's starting to wind down. So now it's all about beating the drums on what is Florida State going to do and what's Miami going to do and Clemson and all these schools. I'm seeing that quickly become like the new thing, because eventually the Pac-12 is going to sign a TV deal and there will be an answer to this entire conversation. Yeah. And so I guess people will need something to pivot to, but there's some reasons why you'd start looking that direction based on what Florida State said in the past and what Clemson has now said as well, and what others could be potentially thinking. But yeah, I mean, there's not anything to act on, I think, as far as that story goes, the current one, until a TV deal is present. And who knows when the heck that's going to be out there, because we've been wondering for months at this point. And, we didn't put out any deadlines, but there were deadlines put out by various members of the conference in so many ways. And those have come and gone. And, I've seen the board meetings come and go, and some of those have been absolute nothing burgers. They've been, nothing more than just a board meeting that didn't really have anything to do with realignment. So, who the heck knows, quite frankly, on the timing of this thing.
And look, the ACC thing, buckle in, guys. It's going to be a while. Even if they're successful in getting it partially taken off, I think most optimistic in that is just a little more than halfway through the contract of them to get that done, because you're still talking about a ton of money and a ton of ratings that the conference would lose. And seeing why would the ACC not fight them every step of the way on the grant of rights if they wanted to get out? Seeing what's going on with the Pac-12 right now. Because it wouldn't be about this one, it would be about the next one that you would get. So there's so many different things that people are going to say that. And look, if you're Florida State and Clemson and the other schools who are talking about uneven revenue sharing in the ACC, knowing that you still have, more than a decade left on your deal, part of that is you never know if you're going to get something unless you ask.
Right.
And
that is the number one in sales or anything. You will not get a no, and you surely are not going to get a yes if you don't ask for a buy or a sponsorship or even the question. You're right.
So unless you ask, unless you put it out there in the world, you're never going to know. You're going to say, well, what, man, we should have done this. We should have done this. And look, while uneven revenue sharing throughout the conference was the death knell ultimately of the original Big 12, that doesn't mean that it has to be that way for the ACC. Now, it's probably not a good thing, but the way that schools operate now that are, thinking about leaving at all is that if you're thinking about leaving, the overall health of your conference probably doesn't matter as much to you as long as you're made whole. And with the 12-team playoff coming up, if Clemson keeps getting in it and FSU gets in it and whoever else like Louisville or UNC that could leave, if they were in the same situation as USC and UCLA were with no time left on the deal, if they just keep getting in the playoff, they're not going to worry about how things are going for Wake Forest in Boston College. It's not going to matter to them.
No, I think the best way to put it is everybody's looking out for themselves, and everybody's having the conversations they feel they need to have behind the scenes, or somewhat the messages they need to deliver out in the front of the scenes as well. Of I think on the Pac-12 side of things, certain people saying about their expectations. Well, we expect to be in the conference, and we expect that our deal will be close, or if not better than the Big 12, and we expect a lot of things. So people are setting their expectations or putting their desires out there. Some have better opportunities than others, but I think just as the whole thing goes, we're still just waiting on a Pac-12 TV deal. That's the big thing as far as that side of the country. And on the other side of the country, there's starting to be a little bustle behind the scenes about, the future of Florida State and Clemson. But there's a lot of hoops to have to jump through and a lot of things that have to be taken care of. This is not one of those, you're just going to wake up tomorrow and they're announcing, we are leaving like with Texas and Oklahoma or USC and UCLA. No matter how many, little crumbs they may have left in those stories, previous to that, this is going to take a little bit more time. There's nothing in that regard that seems like it's imminent in any way, shape, or form.
When we come back, a couple of